of the woods.
Actually, I am.
All right. Hey, guys and
In my
gals.
backyard.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Squatch Talk. I'm Pat. We are doing a little after show tonight. Man, we had a show on Gary's channel, P3 Productions. Oh, and Leon is here. Thank you. And so we were just getting into all kinds of interesting discussions, and I wanted to keep that going, as I always do. And so here we are, going live on my platform. Gary's here. Lupe and Mr. Mendoza himself is here.
Lupe, you need a light on your face, man. All I see is your nose, your cheeks, this part here, and your forehead.
Correct.
Sasquatch! It's a Sasquatch! Run!
Well, I will. Hold on. I can't put no light. I ain't got no light.
You got a light?
No, I'm looking for my flashlight, but I don't know where it's at. I did with it.
How come Steve's not on here?
Right. We'll figure. He kind of had to go. He kind of made it clear, like, nah, I can't keep going, guys.
Well, you guys were on for 3 hours, so I mean, it's a hell of a long time, right? So.
Right. Yeah. And so,
Great show.
Obviously, we got Leon has joined us now to be a part of the discussion, and Patrick Vaughn, and yeah, here we are tonight. And thanks for coming on, guys. Thanks for continuing the discussion. I don't even know where to pick it up because we were all over the yes. Gary,
I was going crazy listening to you guys. I thought I was, as you can tell from the chat, I thought at one point there, Pat, when you were saying that, I think you were talking about ketchup at the time, but I thought you were talking about Leon's totally trolling you here to Gary. I was just, I just thought, no, this is madness. This is
that
madness.
last hour and a half was the hardest. Usually I can keep us on focus. I mean, and that might be one reason Steve's not here tonight, and I love him to death, but I'm like, okay, we got to come back around to here. You know, that was perfection, or chaotic perfection is what that was. That was a great discussion, great show. Thank you guys for being a part of it. I mean, that was.
Yeah,
Well, I've been going for a long time today, so I'm not exactly focused.
Well, it's only 9:37 p.m. Oh, right. I live on the West Coast.
Yeah.
You guys are like at what? 12:37, 1:37, 10:37.
I've been going 20 hours.
Oh.
I'm not too far behind you. I'm at like 18.
Well, you just wear Depends all day long. Just saves you from taking those bathroom breaks. You can just go anytime you need to. It's great. Plus, it trains you when you're in the bush in case you run into a Sasquatch. You just got all that packed right in there. You don't have to
it's good training.
Yeah, it's good training.
I got our subject right here. Larry Metzler, let's talk about what we do know. Well, I know guns. Patrick knows guns. Lupe damn sure knows guns.
I'm scared of guns.
Okay, all right. So that's an inside thing. You guys know Larry, I guess.
Yep, I know Larry. Larry has nice comments. Thanks, Larry, for your nice comments.
So I don't know what's a good starting point tonight? Where did we leave off?
I think we left off and wondering where you got your hat at, Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't have the glasses and the hat in the last 3 hours.
Right.
I can throw one at you that was brought up in the comments more than once. A body.
A body. Okay.
A body.
All right. So that's what we're talking about. All right. So can we preface that with this? Is that is anybody here pro kill? Is anybody here advocate we should go out in the woods and try and kill a Sasquatch?
I am.
All right. So Lupe is.
I'm sorry, these mosquitoes are everywhere. Yeah.
I was going to say that. Those are just
Okay, I am not. I do not advocate for that.
Well, we're both in the right and wrong at the same time because we can't prove that it's real. You know, so I mean, the chances of me ever shooting one is like one. But I'll probably get struck by lightning like 5 times before I see one again. You know, so what's the chances of me shooting one? It's like 0 to a million, you know, or 100 million or something. You know,
it's okay. It's okay to. I mean, it's perfectly fine to have that opinion here.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't advocate for it personally because I don't want to encourage people to go out in the woods and try and kill something that they don't understand. It's kind of irresponsible in a way to be. But
let's throw something at you. Here's where the problem is. In the scientific community saying, because every species on the planet, we've always had to have a body to prove the existence thereof. Yeah. So the problem is really in the scientific community. Even the mountain gorilla, they had to have a body. So if we could change the mentality, which I don't think is going to happen, I agree with, I agree to disagree with Lupe. I'm not pro kill. I'm not going to draw down one unless he's coming at me.
Yeah.
Right. But we're going to have to change the mentality or come up with a body.
But I'll tell you something. And for years since I got in the military, in the early '90s, every year I go deer hunting, and guess what? I've never shot a deer since. I've had plenty of deers in my gun sight, but I just can't pull the trigger.
Yeah. I'm the same way, dude. I'm not a hunter. I don't hunt. I don't kill anything.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I eat deer. I eat wild hogs. I love it. I love wild game. I just can't pull the trigger. But I always say that if I ever see another Bigfoot, I'm gonna shoot him. But like I said, chances are me pulling that trigger, like 0 and 100 million.
Lupe, what if you shoot him and you get up to his body and he looks like he's got a human face on it?
That won't bother Lupe.
Yeah, no.
It wouldn't bother you?
No.
Is your positioning, Lupe, that it is what?
I went through this a million times. I don't know.
No, that's fair. I mean, I don't know you from Jack Squat. You just met me for the first time here online, right? Yeah. So I'm just curious about your perceptions on what you believe it is. Because the other thing,
I don't know.
The problem with me is, could I put a bullet in one? Yeah, I can put a bullet in one. The problem with me is I walk up to the body and it looks like it's more humanoid. I'm gonna have a problem in my brain with that one.
Well, I've been in combat and I've seen what my bullet can do to a human.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's put a toll in my life. It hurts.
Yeah, totally.
And
so
I understand
what I mean, because there's an implication to you being the first, and that's one that I struggle with.
Oh no!
What if I'm the first who finds them, and I'm the first to expose them that they're real, and knowing how human beings are and what we end up doing when we find things that are new. In other words, what's this going to be is a huge influx into people finding it. Because once we find one dead body, like I say it a little differently than you, I think body is what we need because that's going to make it solid. And all of the Bigfoot online researchers will probably no longer have platforms because we don't know what the hell we're talking about as much as we like to claim we are. Yeah. Go ahead.
I agree with you 100%. If we found a dead body, I mean, that would be the perfect scenario.
Yeah. Well, we talk about one getting killed like on a Trans-Canada highway. I live in Canada, by the way.
Yeah.
But, finding one hit by a bus on the Trans-Canada highway or old age or whatever like that. I think all this crazy thinking of there's supernatural and that's going to go throughout the window. The reason why I have such a problem with that last conversation you guys had, my brain was I was freaking out on the other side, like as you could tell from the comments. But I was just thinking, we don't have any species ever in hundreds of millions of years that show any supernatural abilities. Not a single species. Bug, insect, well, bug is an insect, mammal, fish, nothing. We have perceptions of us as human beings believing that they're supernatural. But the question is, when we find out what it actually is, we realize that, that's not what that is. It's something else.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. I look at it spiritually. I'm a spiritual person. My Native American ancestry, we go through a lot of beliefs that, a lot of things that we see that we know are spiritual.
Well, and again, it goes back into defining, well, why do we believe what is spiritual, and why is it that human beings, because I think it's important, I deal with the brain a lot with people, there's a part of the human mechanism that the spiritual fills in a huge blank for our psyche to help us come to a balanced state, especially when it comes to something that we don't understand or unknown. I mean, when you look at all the so-called gods that humanity has experienced in its history, there's a little over 100 of them. That's it. We think there's a lot of gods out there. There's not. Right. We can say there's thousands of different styles of it, like if you look at the Hindu belief. But the bottom line is they can fit into a variety of definitions. And when you put those under the definitions, there's a little over 100 that we would say these are the style of God and these are the characteristics of that particular God. So I don't like the idea of, again, this terrible tendency we have as human beings is projecting onto them our concepts. As soon as you do that, you're putting humanity onto a species you don't know. Well, and that's the number one scientific method not to do, is putting humanistic ideas or concepts or traits onto something we don't know.
Agreed.
And it's not helpful to see them for what they are instead of what we're hoping them to be. That's one of the 4 rules, is to see them for what they are and then work on what we've objectively seen, and then build on that kind of information. I've been out here for a long, long time, and I'll tell you the frustration of not finding, and I don't blame people. I don't blame people. It's not that they're not intelligent, but they're spoon-fed when you come online and you look at this little screen here. If you're interested in it, you don't know jack squat about Sasquatch. So you go on YouTube, you punch in Sasquatch, and you come across somebody's channel that's got like 50,000 views on a video. You think, whoa, brain likes patterns. 50,000 is a value. There must be a lot of stuff to follow on this guy's channel. But after you go through all this stuff, because I'm assuming that, Lupe, you've been in the bush quite a bit, and especially if you've been in active combat, you have a very solid capacity to move into your, especially in your combat zone mentality. And you'll know what I'm talking about. I believe you'll know what I'm talking about when I'm saying that, is your sensory perception is pretty peaked, pretty precise, and very direct.
Yes.
And what I find incredibly frustrating, this is just to Lupe though, is imagine going into combat and you have this other kind of thinking out there. Well, that's not really the Taliban. That's not really whoever. Yeah, it is that. But if I don't know how to interpret that data incorrectly, it could cost me my bloody life. And that's the seriousness, at least from my position of what I do, is I come into this field with this, plus academic training. I'm not the heavy academics. I'm not. That's not my job. But I deal with a lot of heavy academics, PhD, doctorate level people. And it's not that we can't, look, there's something we're totally missing that's totally wrong in what we've been doing. I'm not saying anybody on this panel is responsible for that. I think it's this garbage we've been spoon-fed for 15 to 20 years on YouTube and all these TV shows we watch, that they're mindless. Some of the great documentaries. I'm going to rant a little bit and then I'll shut up so you guys can jump in here. Sorry, because I do talk a little bit, but after watching the last show there, I just thought, man, my knees just a shaking, wanted to chat. Yeah. The interesting thing is that some of the video documentaries that are coming out are classy. They're not like the cheesy ones, like the ones you watch now on TV in Search for a Bigfoot and all that kind of stuff. Those are cheesy. But the ones that click into it that really are trying to find the answer, you can sense an upgrade in actually the videography that's going on and the filming capacity that's going on. That's what we're needing to move this forward. And on that note, I will pass it to whoever wants it. Patrick, you did have your finger up a couple of times because I know that's your talk. Yep. Your talk finger.
Yeah.
So go for it.
Well, you hit on just about every point I was, hoping to make. Because we do assign spiritual, unknown, supernatural to what we do not understand. Now, one thing is, early man could catch a deep living sea creature and it has a glowing wisp on its head. Well, it's supernatural because you don't understand it. Well, once you dissect it and understand the chemical properties of what's making it glow, then it's not supernatural. But we assign that.
Wait. But there's a good point there. I want to play with that idea, Patrick, if you don't mind. Mm-hmm. The good point is that we didn't have concepts of God until about at the most, from what we can understand, 10,000 years ago. So if we've been walking the planet for 200,000 years, let's just say 100,000 years, why has it taken 90,000 years to get a spiritual perception development in the brain, as far as a programming system in the brain that needs or finds there's some uniqueness to having a spiritualized part of reflecting on life? What that provides, that part of the brain, is hope when you're hopeless.
Mhm.
Keeps you moving forward when you don't have any rational understanding, especially when your body's beating the hell out of you, and your brain and your life has been smacking you around to move you forward. But there's something about the spiritual part, which is right here, by the way, in your brain, that activates to help a person transcend what their present physical conditions and compared to moving forward on that. So where I get a little confused, I guess, well, I don't get confused because I understand why people's brains do that, but is the quick jump that goes right across to the supernatural or the spirituality of it. Even in First Nations, because Lupe, you were talking about this, I love the First Nations tradition. I think they have something that we don't have as white Anglo-Saxon Westerners in North America, which is the capacity to still sense the perception of being in the forest and in the bush and working with inside of the rhythm of nature. I don't think we have that. We have the white man's concept of it, but we certainly don't have the Aboriginal or First Nations people.
Well, when you start talking about making the jump between our perception and then something supernatural, that's a bridge so that we can put some kind of, we can quantify it in some way to be able to deal with it.
Yes.
Now,
totally, Patrick, yeah.
now that does not mean that what is in between there is not something supernatural, because I have personally seen spirits. I know spirits exist.
Well, again, I'm not saying, I know that you've perceived something.
Yeah.
For instance, I mean, we can go into a whole thing on here. Like you guys know, I just finished filming that documentary called Snake Oil, which is on everything paranormal, supernatural, ghosts, and all that kind of stuff. And when I was younger, I thought for sure I had an experience where I literally had somebody, I woke up in the middle of the night, I was just a little kid, and there was something that was freaky going on in my room. And I was crying at such a level that my mom came upstairs and said, "What, are you doing okay?" And I said, "No, I want to come and sleep with you." And when I walked down the stairs from my bedroom all the way down the stairs, this translucent figure came all the way down and followed us all the way down the stairs. And I walked into my mom's bed. My dad was working that night. He worked in the military, so he's doing a night shift. And so I went into the bed like that, and this thing came through the door, walked to the end of the bed, looked at me, and all I did was put the sheets over my head. Now that's what's recorded in my 5.5 pounds of jelly. Mm-hmm. Now, did that happen or didn't that happen? This is what I appreciate about you guys. We don't have to be afraid of having this depth of a conversation, because we're really, really interested in trying to figure out what we're trying to deal with here.
So I'm guessing that you don't believe in God. You don't believe in the Bible.
What's that?
I'm guessing that you're not a religious person.
I have a pastoral theology degree.
Oh, really?
Yes. So it's not coming from there, but facts are facts and truth are truth. And in the scripture, which you will know about this if you are claiming, I'm assuming you take the counterbalance because you came with the negative and projected onto me. No, I'm not criticizing it at all, Lupe. Don't get me wrong here, okay? Because sometimes a lot of people get me misinterpreted as being a direct, meaning that I'm aggressive or against you. I'm not. I'm just looking for facts. God even asked me, Leon, come reason with me. You know that scripture, I would assume, if you're a Christian. He says, come reason with me. Joseph wrestling with the angel. This is what that's about, is reason with me. The problem is, I deal with systems. Lupe, you don't know this, but I deal with systems, and I deal with Christian systems, Sasquatch systems, gay systems, political systems. That's what I do for a living, is analyze systems. And when I look at the low resolutional system, that's now, like, if you think that Western Christianity is the gospel, you're caught in a Western cultural system. Because the gospel is not, the gospel has been assimilated by Western culture. If you don't buy that, go online right now, punch in your server up here, look at the Hindu Jesus pictures. Look up images, Hindu Jesus. Look up Japanese Jesus. Look up Afghanistan Jesus. Look up African Jesus. Look up Caribbean Jesus, and you will see the cultural imprint on the image of those pictures of what they believe Jesus looked like the Anglo-Saxon Nordic Christian Jesus. That's not every Christian church with the, well, unless you don't come from that. If you come from a Hispanic church or a African American church, you're not going to have that style of Jesus. And it's more likely the African Americans are probably more correct what Jesus looked like than what we think he looked like, because we're very egocentric, unfortunately, as human beings.
Let's not go down that road too far.
Well, no, but it goes into belief systems, because that's what we're talking about. All of us here have a belief system of what we perceive about what a Sasquatch is. Now, we have 5 different people on the panel. The question is, we want to dialogue with each other to analyze what each of us believe so that we can maybe come to a better understanding and helpful education towards me anyways. I don't know I think I know most of the people's positions on here, but I'm looking to be educated. I'm not looking to be right. Yeah. If I wanted to be right, I would have 50,000 subscribers on my channel. I stayed online under the radar because I'm looking for the right people. So I'm looking to be educated, because I'm not educated in all the fields that I need to be, and I need the academics also as another resource people to go to help me keep myself solid, I guess. So.
Well, again, it boils down to what can you observe? Okay, you have all these questions, and I understand that. I started out like that myself, but what is observable, and what do you have to create a hypothesis and theorize about?
It's a little deeper than that too. I'm sorry, Patrick. I'm going to challenge play with that idea a bit more. It's not about
I wasn't done.
It's about understanding what process would one use. You, me, Pat, anybody here would use so that we could systematically figure out whether the information we're taking in or observing is actually factual information. We need a method for that. Because until we get a method for that, it's everyone's speculation of idea. And the problem with that is
that's why it took 3 encounters for me to make sure that my method was correct and what I was witnessing, and also the witnesses with me witnessing the same thing, so that I could get their take and make sure we all matched. You know what I mean?
And that's what you're supposed to do, right? I mean, your sister, what do you know? I don't know Jack Squat. What do you know? You know Jack Squat. We're doing the best we can out here, I would think. But the key part is we have to also up our game, because in 50 years from now, if we don't up our game, do a total different way, because we've been in it for 50 years, we're missing something. We've always been missing something. And what that is for some strange reason, it's not just in the Bigfoot community, it's in the cultural community, is we're afraid to find out what we're actually looking at because we feel embarrassed. So I've said something online, and this is a Sasquatch, and now I feel stupid because I realize finally this has nothing to do with a Sasquatch. Well, there's a great power to back yourself into, or pocket to sit in, which is you say that to your viewers. They will appreciate you a hell of a lot more than not. And so, and you know how I view on your whole thing, Pat. So it's not like I'm against you in any way.
This isn't. This is a debate, I guess, a meeting of the minds, you can say. But what you're talking about, what you're missing, I know what you're missing.
Give it to me.
I worked it out 2 years ago. It's an equation. Okay, you have a being that lives in the woods that has a high IQ and much greater skill set than you do. Okay, you're chasing down what someone says was something, and it wasn't. And of course, you're analyzing what it wasn't or what it might have been. Now, what's missing in this equation is that, okay, you have something that is there, and then you were over here. What's missing in that equation is where is it, and the missing link is distance. Okay, it's not about being next to Sasquatch when it's there. It's about being able to see it when it's there. And the equation and the missing is distance. And that needs to be bridged by technology, either aerial tech or a telescopic technology, 90-100 zoom, that you can use thermal imagery to focus in on at a great distance and then switch to an HD camera to be able to film it in broad daylight, because they do exist in broad daylight.
Well, yeah, and I agree with that 100%. I mean, I did a video probably 2 years ago, and I said, listen, if you had a Sasquatch on your property, or if you had an area where you knew Sasquatch was there, I want you to ask yourself this question. I don't care how crazy your answer is, but answer this question. What would you need to film them? And I said, don't be stuck in a box. Like, think out of the box. What would you need to film them? The first thing that comes to my mind is military grade drone.
Yeah.
That's where it goes. That's where it goes to my mind. That solves the issue. None of this Mickey Mouse garbage of this might or that might. That would, because it has the technology to look through the canopy, even at nighttime or daytime, to look for heat registrations that are very clear to know that you're not looking at a human being. Yeah. So I'll back up a little bit here. I'm sorry if I'm ranting a bit, you guys. I'm sorry, but I haven't talked to a human being.
You're stepping into my expertise there. We do have that technology.
First of all, we got some certain technology, but a drone, I don't care if it's thermal night vision, cannot see through all the leaves and trees all the way to the bottom. Only through openings. All right, it cannot see through all that crap. Like
no. There's new technology now.
Military grade, dude. No. It's just
2021. I'm not doubting you were in the military. I'm just suggesting to you this.
Yeah,
There's new technology that's on the horizon where they can. There's new technology where it's on the horizon where they're getting that capacity. It's not here yet. I mean, it is here, but it's not in the general knowledge of the public. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not in a big hurry here, man. What I do for a living, you can't be in a hurry to be. You're in it for decades. You're not in it for a day or a year. I'm going to find Sasquatch in 3 weeks. That's crazy thinking in my mind, especially when I'm up in British Columbia, where I'm walking I'm walking through forest with a needle with a haystack. But the idea goes back to the thing is, what would you need then? I don't care what it is. But if we up our game, kind of like with this research that Carrie's down there with 20 people, and they got technology that we haven't ever seen before for doing a Bigfoot research.
You know, it's not the technology is going to find them. You have to be on the ground for weeks,
100%.
months at a time.
100%. I agree 100% with you. And if you're out there doing that, man, I give you great praise. Great praise. Because that's what's missing. Like in Canada here, in the summer coming up here, they have a 60-day expedition. Not a week, 60 days.
Yeah,
and we have people out there all the time, 24/7.
How many people for that 60-day expedition?
Probably anywhere between 20 to 30.
Yeah, that's too much.
No, because you don't know the area we're in. We're in a very vast area. So we need, it's not that we're all hanging around where the Sasquatches are. We have a base camp.
Played out.
We go out to where the areas are located.
Okay, guys.
You can't go crazy like that, man. You're totally right, Lupe. So.
Gentlemen.
Yes, Patrick, share with us.
It's been in my humble experiences, which has been 33 encounters and 8 face-to-faces, and tracking 24 of these individuals.
Why ain't you special?
You can't get within a quarter mile of them with any. Okay, you can't. I've got to a quarter mile of them. Anything closer, it's a mistake on their part. So distance is part of the equation. It's not that they only exist at night. They exist in day and night. They're real living, breathing beings. You're over here, they're over there. What you have to do is know where they are and close the distance to them. That's all you have to do to film them.
Yeah, or find the right terrain where they're more manageable to negotiate, navigate with. But I'll tell you, if you got them in a quarter of a mile distance from you, there's no reason we can't get them on film.
You cannot.
No reason we can't get them on film.
You can
in the bush, Leon.
You cannot. They will not let you. They will not let you
walk around in wide open spaces, man.
I'm not talking about that, you guys. Listen, I understand what I'm saying to you might sound a little over the top, but you're forgetting that we have put people on the moon. We just put
I agree.
Lander on there that has a helicopter that they can fly from Mars. You know how many millions of miles that is away?
Yeah.
I'm saying that we have to think out of the box because the online influences that we picked up has made us kind of boundaried in regards to our capacity. I know what I'm talking about in regards to,
Okay.
it's not about the technology. I mean, some of the stuff Steve's coming up with right now is just the next level research technology.
And maybe so, because it sounds like he is trying to move the ball down the field with technology.
Well, and he can because he's got the technology behind it. Because he does any military plane that Lupe used as a backup plane, he's the guy who designed that. So he's not some kind of moron or idiot.
No, I know.
We're talking about just general avionics engineer. We're talking
no. I know. Steve worked on the F-22, so
yeah.
I know what's going on there. So I'm well aware of that. All I'm saying is this: if you're going to be on the ground, linear with them, that's what does it. They outclass or whatever. I say outclass. That's the vernacular.
I don't agree. I'm sorry. I'm going to play the devil's advocate to help you guys.
Man, every animal on this planet, including us, makes mistakes. But
I have a question for Leon.
Yep, go for it.
Okay, Leon.
50 years of data.
You're in rolling hills, thick brush, big trees, and there's 1/4 mile north of you. You have a camera in your hand. Give me the scenario that gets you up on it so you can get the video of it.
Patience. 2 weeks, 4 months, whatever
it knows
takes.
you're there. It knows you're there.
It doesn't matter. It can't keep thinking you're there for 4 months. It needs to eat. It needs to drink. It needs a lot of other things.
It can do that everywhere else.
Well, they can make mistakes. They make mistakes.
Well, it can do that anywhere else.
It doesn't matter. I don't care. Look, human beings are really, really smart. Mm-hmm. And human beings will fuck up. If the police are watching, the CIA is watching, the FBI is watching, if military people are watching, the opponent, they will fuck up in some way if they're patient. But it's the impatience that's killing us online.
Well, Leon, there's one factor here though that I hate to say, but
say it.
The skill set that team is going to have. I mean, that's few and far between. I mean, every one of us here are,
Well, we live closer. Yeah, if we live closer, it'd be easier, you guys, honestly, for sure. I mean, I go back to, before we even talk about the military grade stuff and all that kind of stuff, is we can't even figure out how to track them like a deer or a rabbit. That's a pretty bad standard. That's the first part we got to figure out. How do we find them first? Now,
I was going to say, don't get me started on the tracking the rabbit. And
but as Patrick, even for Patrick, first son, right? Look at that, ain't no dead rabbit you're holding in your hand. That's my son you're holding, But I mean, if Patrick's talking about what he's suggesting here and what he's sharing, and I trust what he's saying to me as being somewhat factually truth from what I've seen of him and talked to him with for especially that 3-hour period we had a chat with. The key part is like this whole online stuff. We have to just throw it away and talk like we're talking tonight. I mean, I know it's kind of heavy and I know it's kind of challenges us a bit, or we project onto maybe what I'm saying, thinking I'm saying it a certain way. I'm not saying it anyway. All I know is, what do I know for sure? Tracks are facts. What else do I know? I've seen one. So that makes me kind of perplexed. What do you do when you've actually seen one, or you believe you've seen one? Tracks are facts. Tracks aren't just Mickey Mouse. If you can read tracks, you can tell tracks when they are dispensing energy in the ground. So the next part is, where do I find those tracks? And the next part, the question I ask is, what is the environment that makes these tracks happen to be here at this time? And like when I went up to do the Matt Moneymaker's best Sasquatch tracks way of 2020, I mean, he's claiming this, and he's the president of the BFRO, claiming these are the best Sasquatch tracks. So we send our team. And it's garbage. It's absolutely, they're all moose, every single one of them. He knows nothing about tracking. He doesn't know how to track an animal in snow. And if that track was true as Sasquatch, we would have found it for miles. Miles, you guys. Do you understand that? We're not talking like a few 10, 15 miles. We're talking like 20, 50, 100 miles. We'd have seen what it ate, why it bedded down, why it bedded down there. That's tactile stuff. This is like deer stuff. We don't even have that data for a Sasquatch. So the ideas of all these other building onto concepts is not helping, at least me. Where to find them? the good thing about the Okanagan, we have floods every year. In those floods, sand or nice gray kind of gooky muck is dispensed over huge chunks of riverbed. And so the river gets really small. Flying a drone up there to find the track the track. That's what I'm looking for. That's the basics I'm looking for.
Hey,
Go
guys,
ahead.
Steve just messaged me, and he asked me to correct y'all. He worked on the F-23, not the F-22.
Sorry, Steve. I didn't realize you're still up, man. I was saying.
Well, I'm the one that said the F-22, and I think
that's right.
I think what he's referring to was the concept, the original concept of the F-22, which was called the F-23, which looked completely different than what turned out to be the F-22.
Yeah, the F-23 is Strategic Air Command.
Right. Yeah. So all right. So we're talking tracks here. So Gary, I don't know. What do you do if you track a Bigfoot back to its home? What do you do, Gary?
Well, seeing I've never been in that situation, but if I actually track one back to his home, a lot of it's going to depend on what they do. I mean, I'm not going to move in. If I know it's their home, I'm not going to barrel right in the middle of it. I mean, you're looking for getting your head separated from your body.
Yeah.
So what is the female, Gary?
They exist somewhere. I'm not claiming to have knowledge that they have camps, but if we're gonna look at them as flesh and blood, hominid kind of creature, they're gonna exist somewhere at some time.
Well, I tell you,
you don't want to really track them up. You don't want to track up on them, right?
We did find a valley with a river flowing through it in southeastern Oklahoma that had a lot of juvenile tracks, and it looked like what we called it a nursery area. A lot of smaller like structures and signs of just little in windows of young ones. And we made ourselves vacant real quick because I don't want to be. I know what a mama bear. What's that, Lupe?
Come on. If you find tracks, why won't you? You gotta follow them, man.
I did. We did follow them. We followed them like half a mile, but
how are we gonna prove it if you don't follow them?
Because I'm a scaredy cat.
Yes, 100%, Lupe. 100%. Under, yes.
But what do you do? What the hell do you do when you get? Let's say you get the best of a Bigfoot. Then
okay. What? Well, if I got my gun or camera or something, I'm gonna get them either on camera or on my rifle. One of the two.
Well, I'm pretty sure Leon's not going to shoot him. So, what do you do, Leon?
Down, but if it would depend on what its eyes look like to me. As soon as I had it in the scope, if I seen its eyes and the eyes had humanity in it, not a chance.
Or if I got a camera in front of you.
What do you mean by humanity?
Or a majesticness to them. Like I've seen animals before where you want to put them down and you look at them and you think, I just can't do this. This animal's just so bloody majestic. So, or this person or this thing. I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know what I'm looking at. It's not fair for me to tell anybody at home that I know what I'm looking at. I don't know what I'm looking at. I think I've seen one before, but I don't know what that is. I've seen an elephant, like you've heard me 100 times say. I've seen an elephant. I've seen killer whales. I've seen lions. But what do I know about those things? Nothing. Well, I don't live in the Serengeti. I don't live in the ocean.
But
they're not human.
Don't you have to consider at least the possibility that there might be 2 or 3 more watching? I don't know.
More likely, duh. Yeah.
Like, so you're signing your own death warrant at that point.
No,
I don't think you're.
No. You shoot any animal out in the wild, the rest of them are gonna run wild. They're gonna run away. They're not gonna.
No, I don't know about that, dude. I'm not. That doesn't sound right to me. Actually,
no, it is right unless they're the offspring of the animal that you are.
If they were that simple, they'd be in fucking zoos right now. Okay.
Yeah. If you can find
they're not that simple, man.
But
I can say that. For sure.
Okay. Look at the state of Maine, largest population of black bear in the United States. Probably 80% of the people living in Maine have never seen a black bear.
Yeah.
we cannot compare them to black bears, dude.
Well, you
Pat,
got to compare it to the population of black bear. You got to compare them.
yeah, and Pat, you're projecting. You're using cognitive dissonance to project onto them what you believe they might be. You have no idea what they are. You have no idea what they are.
I'm not using cognitive dissonance.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm separating. I'm separating the lack of knowledge we have from the actual knowledge we have of a fucking species, dude.
Yeah.
Black bear.
But you're still saying you're projecting onto them that they're not like a black bear. You don't know that.
I don't know
like
that.
A grizzly. You don't know any of that. How do you know that? Tell us, us three here, or us four here, how you know they're not like a normal animal that work out of instinct. How do you know this?
But because they would be in a zoo. That is all I have to say.
No, well, okay, let me ask you a question. Is there any animal that has not been put in a zoo at this time that does exist?
Right. I hear you. I mean, you're trying to flip the script. I get it. But
answer the question yes or no, because if it's no, then you're kind of screwed a little bit here.
I'm not screwed because obviously animals that don't exist in human zoos are extraordinary.
No, they're not. I could show you 2 species that are in BC that have never been in a zoo ever in their lives.
But they're
and you can go around the world and find many animals that have never been in a zoo. And so the idea of using that as an idea that because of our egocentric arrogance we have, that we can go capture everything. We can't capture everything because we don't have big enough zoos, first of all.
Well, correct. We don't have blue whales in zoos. I agree. But we're getting into like semantics and shit.
No, we're not. We're getting into specifics. That's what the problem is. The problem is you're believing that you have a concept in your head that you believe what
it's a known species, though. It's a known species. So when I
talk about an unknown species, there's 5 of us on the panel. We don't know this species, but we all have our thoughts of what this species might be, including you. So are you telling me that your species, the concept of what you believe the species to be, is factually accurate whatsoever? And at what percentage would you say it is? Because mine would be about 5%. I'm not sure what yours would be at. Everything else is projection onto my concepts of what I believe I think it might be. So when I believe a Sasquatch is some kind of monster or terror of the woods or goes and kills things, I don't know any species that does that other than the reptilian species.
Well, they have to eat, so therefore they have to kill things.
Yeah, meaning that they're going to kill you for the sake of needing food, or they're going to kill you
No. I didn't say me. I didn't say me. You said kill things.
If I may.
Can I say something, Pat?
Go ahead.
Okay. How many Sasquatch you think live in North America, Canada, America? You know,
it's hard. It's hard to. I mean, we have no good database to go off of, but there's not 10 million of them, and there's not 5 of them. You know, so unfortunately, you know, it falls everywhere in between. You know.
Okay, so say Maine's got 100,000 black bears,
right?
And 80% of the population of the people have never seen one. And say in North America and Canada, there's 3,000 Sasquatch still living. What is the percentage of Americans that have seen a Sasquatch?
Sure, I mean that would be an actual really good study to like really get that like kind of like mathematics and down. You know, I know that personally I've seen 3 black bear my entire life, you know, and I've been, the only time I've ever seen them is in places where they are. I never saw one in Augusta, Georgia, you know.
Well, we're getting into what's observable and what hasn't been.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Now, as far as saying that animals work purely off instinct and not intelligence, I believe that's completely inaccurate. I've seen animals walk past something, change their mind, make a decision, and go back to it. Now, as far as
it's a form of instinct, by the way, just to point that out to you, that you might not understand the concept of it, but that's totally part of the processing of instinct in an animal.
Yeah, well,
It's not necessarily, again, that's that idea about projecting onto them that they're reflecting on as they walk by. So as they walk by, they see something, they keep walking by, and they're reflecting on what they walk by. That's not instinct. That's a different part of the brain. And animals.
I've been a horse trainer. I understand what instinct and what intelligence is.
Horses are freaking smart.
Now, when you start talking about, whether a Sasquatch is instinctive or intelligent, when you start talking about them building corrals and diverting animals to certain places, and they have to discern out which trees to use, which is the best place to put these corrals to divert these animals to their hide that they wove together. I believe they used intelligence to discern out what trees to go in between with that fence to do that.
Well, that's called conscious availability. Conscious availability is to process, analyze, and then come up with a strategy plan to work with the environment to get what you need.
Isn't that what we do?
That's exactly what we do. That's exactly what we do, and that's why I always wonder whether or not they have a higher conscious availability. And that's why
your question is, if I look in its eyes and it seems intelligent or majestic, if you want to shoot one, don't look in its eyes, because you're going to see that.
Well, I want to see that, though, because I want to know what I'm shooting. If it has a higher conscious availability to it, I don't want to shoot something that has a higher conscious availability to it. It's like you're shooting a dolphin. I wouldn't shoot a dolphin because of the sake they're like a shark. Because when I look at a dolphin, they have a higher conscious availability to them. I wouldn't shoot an elephant for the same reason. And what is higher conscious availability? What does that look like from an animal's perspective? Is they can look into a mirror and recognize they're looking at themselves. Mm-hmm. That's what higher conscious availability is. So a neat little thing would be too, especially in your area, Patrick, is go and get some go to a thrift store, hardware store. I don't know if you guys have these down there or not. We have, I think they're called Habitat for Humanities here. But go and get those folder mirror.
I tried that experiment.
Mirror. They're really light and stuff, right? And take them in there and put a camera on the mirror like they did with the gorillas and the chimps and all these other animals, and you just put it and see if a Squatch is in your area that you feel is pretty solid about that. It'd be brilliant video to catch. Is them going checking themselves in a mirror, man.
I agree.
And if you're not there's no electronics except off in the distance or one of Steve's camera he's working on. That would be like just awesome.
I set that up.
How?
Okay, I did that years ago. I went to Home Depot. I got a full-length mirror that you bolt on your door. I got it. I set it up. I set a weak LED light that would shine into the mirror, so that when they stood in front of it, the light would hit them, reflect back into the mirror, and they could see themselves. Okay, I set that up. The problem is they find the electronics. Okay, so that led me down the road of what electronics are they finding? Is it the light or is it electronics? Well, they walked in on a light and a recorder, and you could hear them walking around, pick my radio up and go out a distance for 11 and a half hours and then bring my radio back and drop it back in a hole and tap the mic on the recorder. You put a camera there, they won't come in. They won't come in.
They won't come in.
Not on a camera.
Okay, and that's fair. I understand. They may somehow sense the cameras there. That's what I'm talking about, the idea about upping our game.
Okay.
Here human beings, we can up our game into outsmarting these guys in regards to technology.
Okay. Fair enough. Here's how we up that game. I propose this. A mirror box that is a two-way mirror is what we call a two-way mirror. Yeah. So you can look out of it, but you can't look into it. And
I designed one of them.
You sit that box out in the remote area where you think they might be interested in seeing their own reflection, and you point I don't know, however many cameras you can fit in there with a live feed, recording on SD cards live, so that when that Squatch comes up and goes, boom, you've got the best footage ever of a Sasquatch. That's how you do it.
What about if I told you I designed one of them using plexiglass and limo tent, and I designed it big enough for a person to sit in it
Take people out of the equation
and witness anything walking up to it. The problem is that first off, I didn't have that many cameras or even cameras to put in it, and I certainly didn't have anybody that was going to sit in that box and witness something walk up there, because I sure the hell wasn't doing it.
This concept would not involve a person. It would all have to be remote video imagery that was constantly recording live.
You'd have to do it over a year as well. You might have to do it for a while. You have to do it over a year, just like the guy who filmed the leopards.
I agree with Leon. I would put that year cap on it.
Yeah,
like we're gonna set it right here and put that year cap on it.
Yeah, because the guy who did the snow leopards, it took him 4 years to film the snow leopard, and he did it in increments. Lupe, go ahead, buddy. Share some stuff there, buddy.
I was telling Gary to crank it up, man. Say something.
You do have a real good point, though, that we're not going to do this in 3 weeks. We're not going to do this in 2 weeks. Look at Jane Goodall, and Diane Fossey, years and years to build up a rapport.
Yeah.
With
serious effort. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do agree with that. Like, I mean, it could take a lot longer than we would think, or we might get lucky, and we might strike gold on that third week.
If we do, it's going to be with the aerial.
I mean, dude, you know me, Gary. That's my thing. I'm like, it's just like we were talking about earlier. It's like, well, what do you do when a Sasquatch is a quarter mile away from you? Oh, you put the drone up in the air and go fly right to it in 30 seconds. Like that quick.
Well, how do you know that Sasquatch is a quarter mile away from you?
Well, that was kind of that was the setup. That was that's what they were talking about, so I wouldn't know that, but
how you're going to know? The only way you would know if the Sasquatch was a quarter mile away from you is if you had boots on the ground, maybe had a wood knock or a howl or something, and then you would send the drone up into that area to try to gather them. I mean, it's once again, like I was talking about earlier, it's going to be a conjective, team effort. It's not going to be one. I don't think one individual, unless they're just lucky, unless maybe they run over one or just happen to put a bullet in one. It's going to be a team effort all the way straight across the board.
Hell yeah. Hey guys, I gotta go. All right.
Okay.
I gotta go to bed.
Brother.
Hey man, I appreciate it, Pat. Gary, man, y'all guys take care, man.
Yeah, you're welcome here anytime, brother.
All right, y'all be cool, man.
All right.
Bye bye.
Yeah, it's just my my idea that those kind of tactics involve just looking in areas where they might be.
I've always had my butt handed to me when I'm trying to trick them. I've tried to trick them. I've tried to get them to come in the camera. I dislabeled IR and set out an ambient light source and dialing it down to find out what they would come into, and what they came into was so dark my camera couldn't catch the images of them. Okay. Yeah. I have not been successful with that. And as hard as these guys are, I mean, they're up in Canada, I'm sure they're harder to find. In the mountains in North America, I'm sure they're harder to find. Down here in the South, they're not that difficult because, we don't have grand, large masses of timber and stuff. We have WMAs and forestry, and they get on top of elevation with a water barrier on two sides between where humans come into and do the recreation, because they know, well, the human's going to come in this valley, they're going to skirt up this creek without crossing it and go and stay on this side, do their thing on these 600 acres over here, and this 30-acre elevation over here they don't get on. And so that's where they sit at during the day, and they pattern people. When people leave, then they will cross the creek and come into those areas. Okay.
So Gary, Patrick, what technology would you need to film them in the day if you know they're up in that area?
I would need. Well, first thing you got to think.
I don't care what it is. Think out of the box. Go ahead.
The first thing is clear line of sight. All right, you have to know where they are. You have to know clear line of sight. I mean, it's the same thing as shooting an animal. If you know where they are and you have clear line of sight and the right technology to make the distance, then you got them. That's it. Now in my area, clear line of sight is not a possibility. Okay, unless you've cleared out a lane, 50 yards is as most as you're going to see in the bush. So that means you're going to have to go aerial, and you're going to need a heavy lift drone. You're going to need a thermal. You're going to need a thermal camera to be able to sight in on them. That way they don't blend into the bush. You actually pick up their image, and then next to that, you need an HD camera, so that when you do sight in on them and you get your camera on them, you can swap to an HD camera and zoom in through the bush and film them in HD in broad daylight.
That's what you have to have. All in one platform, brother.
Yeah.
Wait. You're missing something. What you also need is not higher sight as well. You need higher entry detection, meaning that if you don't have higher sight, you need to find out whether something's coming into an area. So what you need to do is have lasers that go across a certain distance, probably a good, depending on how big the area you're talking about. So that if anything walks in within a certain height range, you will know that they've entered the area. And then you have an internal sensor area as well, so that you can make sure you're tracking it in the right direction, so you can have a location for the drone to go to.
Not a bad idea.
3.
You need at least 3. You need 3 internal rings of data information. So if you have a laser that's pointed, they can't see the laser. Maybe they can. I don't know that yet. So
I know where 5 families these live. Okay, I know where in one area. I know where both their homes are in North Louisiana. I know where the 40 miles north of there. I know where that family's home area is. Their 30-acre elevation area they hang out at in the daytime to avoid people. I know where that is.
Okay, if you know that information, there's no reason we couldn't get them on film, buddy. There's no reason for it.
With the aerial drone, I agree.
Yeah,
probably in a variety of ways. You need a few different strategy techniques. Like the good thing what we're doing here is strategizing.
All right, fine. I'll come down there next weekend.
Because if we can put laser sensors up so that we know which way they're entering into the environment, especially if you know the home range, then it's easy to put the drone up so we know which direction to send the drone, first of all, so we're not having to go over 3 acres of property, which isn't actually that bad. Yeah, I mean, that's what the ideal site is. What you're talking about is if we find an area where we know they are. That's the question. That's what drives me nuts.
That's not hard.
Okay, so Patrick, the canopy's coming back now, right? Yeah. It's coming back. It's starting to come back here. Mm-hmm. So I've lost that capability, man. Like I couldn't even say if I wanted to drive down there next weekend.
Well,
and do this. Yeah. The canopy is going to already be filling out big time.
Well, I spent a lot of years tracking these things and finding out where they would disappear to get away from us. Okay, I found out that criteria. I went to another area and they had the same criteria. The same criteria in Louisiana works the same criteria in southern Arkansas.
Okay, what is that criteria? Tell us.
Okay, absent of man. It's an area that's absent of man due to natural barriers, which is normally a water barrier. They're going to be in elevation, preferably one hill behind that water barrier. So if you have a water barrier and you have elevation going up, it drops back down into a valley. That next hill over, that's where they like to be at. And that is between where a known trailhead for us would come into, And it's so we'd come in and we don't go across that river or creek. We stay on this side. So it's lack of man over here in elevation behind a water barrier 1 hill deep. And you have to have, access to game. You need a large area where they can get out at night and go hunting. Then you have to have a water source. Those are the criteria that they use.
They're mostly nocturnal?
No, they're really not. I have found
they hunt during the daytime.
They will if there's no man there. Oh, wait, they pattern us. Their actions and reactions are all off of us. Okay, I've gone into an area that they didn't know I was coming in because I hadn't been in there in months, and I'd never been in there in that specific time frame, and they were relaxed, plodding down this road that man-made tracks in the mud. The Sasha and Little Sam relaxed, for a mile. They didn't know I was going to come in there.
Do you have any of that on camera or film?
It was on video where at the same place where we did the Bigfoot Explorer expedition on North Louisiana on the track.
Is that the one you sent me, or is that a different one?
No, that's there's a series. But there are times they're relaxed when man's not around. People think that's what I tried to get across to people. This is not a far-flung thing that's way up in the Northwest. Yeah. This is a real being. When you're not around, it's relaxed. It exists in the daytime. The sun shines on it. Okay? When the sun comes up on you, it comes up on them too. When it goes down on them, it goes down on you too. Okay? They exist. It's just when they hear your conveyance half a mile away coming down the road, they know you're coming. You can find where they've been at, the tracks, but it is extremely difficult to get where they are, to get next to them.
If you went into that area on a regular basis for a course of a year, just you, because they're there, and you just are hanging out in the area and you're not doing any harm or anything, that you think that they would shift their positioning about you as a human being in their area?
I've shifted. I was in the area since 2003 interacting with Sasha, and I've known Little Sam his whole damn life.
Okay, so they're not afraid of you. They're familiar with you.
Yes, they are familiar with me. The only thing is that Little Sam got shot at. Okay, a road hunter shot at him, and I was in the area. I was actually set up on that trail that he resurfaced. I was in the ferns uphill from that with my phone out, going to video him, and he gets shot at. This road hunter comes rolling down, and he comes across that and gets shot. Okay, he takes off. That made me guilty as a human. It took a couple of years to get him to come back around me again, but it was still an education to him. He'll still come around me. I've had him. Actually, last time he was around me, 20 yards in the dark, me and my tracking partner. But he's still very leery.
Well, that makes my brain go a certain direction there, because that would mean that he wouldn't have a higher conscience availability to him. That means he would recognize you and know you're not a threat, and recognize another and know it was a threat. Another human.
Well,
it's like a deer or something like that. You raise a deer, you raise a wolf, or you raise a bear. They kind of know you, that you're safe to be around. They know that so-and-so are crows. You put a hat.
There's other dynamics to this.
There is.
Okay, he was young. Okay, he was being mothered. After he gets shot, Sasha comes running up on a bluff on the other side of that damn road and screams bloody murder. The guy in the truck takes off. Little Sam does a yelp. I guess Sasha goes to him. My truck is visible when he gets shot. I left. Okay, to Sasha, I'm guilty. Okay. Now, when Bigfoot Explorer come up there and we're trying to make contact with them, and it was real hard to do. I actually got warned out. That 3-knock, 6-knock, 3-knock was a warning to get the hell out of their area from my group that has known me all these years. We go back to camp. Within an hour, Little Sam and Big Sam are at my camp, and you can ask Scott Owens this. there's a 2-knock invitation. And then they back another 100 yards back towards their area, there's another 2-knock invitation. And then he comes up just right there next camp and goes, whoop.
What's the 2-knock represent to you?
2-knock is an invitation. That's
I
how
don't know what that means. Tell me what that means.
Bam, bam. That's I'm here and so should you be.
Okay, so they're knocking, meaning you should be there, or each of those subjects should be there?
Yeah, mutually should be there. Or it's okay. Everything's fine kind of thing, right?
No, that's what I want to know. I want to know if it's fine with us who are the subjects, not just that Patrick happens to be in the environment, or does it mean just the opposite of that? That Patrick's in the environment, we're here, it's okay.
Well, a single knock is I'm here. Okay, I've learned that. A 2-knock is to a familiar person, I'm here and so should you be. Okay, if one comes up and does a 2-knock to you, that means they know you and they're inviting you to go out where they're at. Okay, so that's a 2-knock. Now, this is the 2-knock. I use single knock until I made contact with Sasha, but I've also used 2-knocks to pull her in. So that's 1 and 2 knocks in a nutshell. But you can talk to Scott Owens, and they came in did 2 series of 2 knocks and a whoop right at our camp, and he said there's no way that's Sasquatch. They could not chase us down and find us in this camp area and knock at us. I said these things track for a living. They know where people sleep at when they're up here. Okay, and they know my truck. And I know it's hard to wrap your head around, but that's the relationship I've had with these.
Which is your whole point of they actually observe us.
Yeah,
they observe us. And I've always thought that. I'm like, they have to be very curious and observational of us.
Up there is a shared area. Okay, you have your domicile. They have theirs back in elevation. They have their place that is safe. It's their domicile. Everything else in there is a shared area. And when you're not in there, they're in there using it. Okay? It's not like they don't know about you. They know all about you. They know how fast you are. They know what you do. They know your body language. And if you're going in there, you personally, they will know your scent. They'll know where you're going to, what trail you're going to go down to. They know you get on this trail, you put your nose on the trail. This is what the average person does. They get there, they put the nose on the trail, they walk 200 yards in, they sit on their ass, drink a bottle of water, play with their phone, looks for an animal to shoot, and then they pick their stuff back up, they leave it back in their conveyance, and they leave. And they know that, and they accept that. Okay, you're well studied.
So how big of an area is that area you're talking about, that ridge area?
The ridge, their winter home. Their winter home, maybe 20, 25 acres, 30 acres tops in that little area.
And when you say their winter home, that's kind of where they go back to bed, you believe? Or what do you think?
Well, they have several, the way they use the land, they have a summer home they live at actually is on private land that I can't get to, but it's about 1.25 miles down a major creek. Their winter home is 3.5 miles away behind another creek in elevation, and that's where a lot of the pigs and deer and all that are. And so summer home is this way, and the winter home is this way.
What's the distance, do you think, Patrick, between the two?
About 3.5 miles. And because just up from the creek of their summer home is a large opening, and there's a camp there, and that's where I knock at them at. Now, last time I was in there, little Sam was still in the summer home, even though it was winter. And I don't know if it's because he's gotten older and he's wanting a little more freedom, because I know Sasha has a young female. I don't know if she pushed him to go stay there. But Sasha's still going into the winter home this winter, and little Sam was still in little summer home.
How did you figure that one out?
Because when I knocked at him, he came from the summer home, and that was in the fall. That was in the fall.
When you say he came from the summer home, how do you know he came from the summer home?
Because that's where he was yelling at from.
So his vocals.
Yeah, little Sam likes to yell. Sasha likes to knock. Little Sam will knock on occasion, but he's a real subtle knock. Mostly he'll yell.
Do I dare ask you what's that sound like? Knowing your disposition of not wanting to replicate what they might sound like.
Oh, you want to know what little Sam sounds like?
Yeah, totally.
He'll do about a 10 to 13 second. He'll go, and that's him. And he'll do it twice or maybe sometimes 3 times.
Huh. Wow.
And it's way much louder than that. Okay, he is way louder than that. I can't come close to it. If I was outside and I took a deep breath and exhaled, I still couldn't. I still can't.
Yeah, there's a different projection going on with that.
Well, he has a bigger chest.
Yeah.
I can't push the volume that he pushes.
So the air. It's like I always say, man. The scream I heard that one night, it went on for 20 to 30 seconds, and so I immediately knew that has to be big lungs. That's not a fox. That ain't no coyote. Like this is something that has lungs way bigger than mine. Like
isn't that like Kim, your girlfriend, when she's mad at you?
Or that,
Well, there's a scene. There's a scene in Central Louisiana Expedition. I do a yell, and then this yell starts, and it goes and goes and goes. And I said, "Am I crazy? Or are we getting a response?" And it keeps going and going and going and stops. And that's the same place we cast the tracks at. Same place that I tracked one track. Run down a deer, get in a turning fight with it, and take the deer off.
Where's those casts? Where those casts you did for that?
Christy Sci-Fi. There's pictures of the casts in my Facebook, and Christy Sci-Fi actually has the casts.
Is that under your name, Patrick, or what's your Facebook page?
Patrick Vaughn.
Okay.
I didn't know you had a Facebook page. You're getting very international.
The Patrick Vaughn Chronicles. Oh, we
love it.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I did more. That show and I did more than Finding Bigfoot did. Okay, we put more on audio and more on video than Finding Bigfoot did.
Oh, I'm sure.
In 11 months. Okay, I only tracked that show 11 months.
That's what we're looking for.
So I'm not sure what show you're talking about. Are you talking about a actual production?
I tracked for Bigfoot Explorer for 11 months.
I'm not familiar with that. What platform is it on?
It's on YouTube.
Okay. So it's like a YouTube docu-series, basically.
It was just a guy and a girl wanting to explore Bigfoot. And they were no kill and they wanted to do expeditions. So I got with them and I said, "Are you no kill?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Do you want to do expeditions?" I'm a tracker. He goes, "Yes." I said, "Okay, I want to get these on film." And so we're tracking, and the very last episode, which was in southern Arkansas, my tracking partner and I are witnessing one walking through a field. The other ones are witnessing us witness this. The eye shine is out there, and the camera is shooting over the top of us, catching the eye shine out there as it walks through the field. That is more than Finding Bigfoot ever got.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, that was.
And we casted those tracks, and we casted the tracks of that individual too. So we got casted tracks of him, witnesses of him, witnesses of him, and on camera.
Yeah,
What on cam?
Eye shine. Yeah, it sucked because I'm standing there. I got a 40 caliber strapped to me. I got a Q beam in my pocket, and I am at a loss of. I'm looking at this big black image with red eyes walking around there, and my tracking partner's elbow me, going, "There it is!" And I got a Q beam, and I don't even light him up.
yeah.
Okay, I don't even.
Yeah.
You terrible boy, you! You're going to get a spanking
Yeah.
when you get home. You
Well,
are
hey.
terrible. You are a terrible man.
This is bullshit. This is total bullshit.
This is total bullshit. I don't
Yep.
understand what you are talking
Yep.
about at all. You crazy man.
Yep.
You crazy whitey. You.
Well, the thing is, I kicked myself all the way until the third week of August when I shot one at 6 feet with a Q beam. I quit kicking myself because even at 6 feet, the Q beam didn't show him up. All I saw was his damn eyes. So I quit kicking myself.
We talked about that earlier. We were trying to square that circle earlier, and it was an interesting discussion. You know, because everybody wants to leap to conclusions. Like, why would that be? Because they're supernatural, right? They're paranormal. That's why.
But sometimes you run into something, and I run into this. I had all these questions. Well, then I had about 50% of them answered, and then that happened, and now I got nothing again. I'm like, I got all these questions all over again. What is this thing? Because how come I can shine a light at 6 feet and it doesn't show up? It's just his eyes. When I get up close to him, you can kind of see in the brightest spot, some hair reflection, but it's not even showing a color. Okay, why is that? So
Because you're drinking.
Yeah, I mean,
I was
drinking whiskey.
sober. I was sober.
Sure you were. That typical alcoholic phrase.
I wish I'd been
I
drinking.
didn't drink anything.
alcohol does not make you hallucinate.
No, that's
not.
true.
It is not
That's
a psychotropic.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it might, make some, people of the opposite sex look better, but that's a different podcast.
Beer goggles.
Yeah,
Beer goggles.
yeah. So I don't know what.
It leads to those coyote mornings where you'd rather chew your arm off and open than wake her up. Yeah.
Aren't we being male chauvinists tonight?
Sorry.
After midnight, all clothes are off.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have to get going in 13 minutes here, just like So
Okay, all right, we'll wrap it up. So as I don't know, a final thought related sorta to what we've been talking about all night.
What have we been talking about?
UFO.
Well,
matter.
me, of course.
His hat.
Yes. But I want to ask you guys so let's say we got about 10, 15 minutes here. Just for fun, just for shits and giggles, let's say, what would it take to bring one down? And I'll start with you, Gary.
I don't know what it'd take, but I know what I'll use.
What's that?
Everybody knows I'm 338 Winchester Magnum.
That's powerful round.
I'm going to reach out at a mile if I can. I don't want to be anywhere near them. I'm thinking more like an A-10 Warthog or a helicopter. No, seriously.
Thermal nuclear device. Yeah, of course.
In a strictly a defensive format.
Let's say
12 gauge. I agree with Patrick. 12 gauge slug staggered with double op buck.
Let's say like 10 to 20 yards.
12 gauge slug staggered with double op buck.
Okay. Patrick, so that's what you think, Patrick?
Well, if it's defensive, or are you hunting one?
Defensive. I think.
Defensive?
Yeah.
Defensive, I would have a 12 gauge platform semi-auto with expanding slugs and large double-up buck. I might even stagger some large steel shot behind that buck just for the armor piercing aspect of it. Hunting one down, I would use a Phoenix 45-70 AR platform with a scope at about 600 yards.
Wow. Jeez. Man. That's a shot right there, bro.
This man's put some thought into this.
Yeah. You have to count for all kinds of windage and shit. Like, you need a spotter for that kind of shot. But what do you think, Leon?
I would use bear mace in one situation, and the other thing I would use is a 300 Browning with gunshot.
There you go.
For another situation. So that's it. That's all you need is those two. I would use the bear mace because if you shoot a grizzly, the grizzly can still kill you because it activates a different part of the brain. I use the bear mace because it would activate a totally different survival mechanism in the grizzly to stop it at midstream immediately. Can't breathe. It's going primal. And when it's going primal, it can't attack you. It's no longer thinking about attacking. It's thinking about, I'm dying. Go ahead, Patrick.
I've carried bear mace, and I read the instructions, and the instructions scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, well, you have to
read
have
them?
courage.
Really?
You got a 25 at the most, maybe 25 meter shot.
It says wait till charging bears within 25 feet.
Yeah, that's right.
Wait. That means pull it and get it ready because it's a big canister. It's a big canister like a small fire extinguisher, and you got to wait and then aim at the face and squeeze. And I'm thinking pray and pucker too, you know?
Yeah.
Well, the difference is, again, because it's only 25 feet, bear mace activates differently than a bullet in your body. You've seen people who've shot when you've seen terrible news videos of people being shot by the police or something like that, or vice versa. The aggressor can still keep coming at you. Mm-hmm. When you use bear mace, it freezes the whole mechanism of its survival system. So it has a tendency to fall and fold. Whereas if you're shooting at it and it's still in primal, I've got to kill this thing. It's not feeling any of its systems. It just keeps charging at you. And so you don't have the time to do that. And we have a guy on our team that dropped a bear attacking in microseconds. I think I said 10 seconds, but it was microseconds. This thing was coming to kill us or kill him. And he automatically, instinctually responded. The thing was deader than a stick, fell on him. Imagine having a fucking 500-pound black bear falling on you and you still feel the warmth of the body and the last breath coming out of its body. I mean, that was a lucky shot, but he was solid, and that's the kind of people you need in the bush. You know, that's what I liked about hearing your story, Patrick, is you have a bit of bush sense to you, so I don't have to explain things to you. You kind of know intuitively what I'm trying to share with you. You know, so. And that's what drives me nuts about a lot of people online who mean well, but they don't have that intuitive sense of being in the bush. So it's true. It's not helpful for me because I have to bring them up either to my standard of understanding what I'm talking about. And I don't want to do that. I don't have the time. I'm 57. I can't even do my bloody yard work. You know, you got a lower back problem last week. It just feels like I should be walking with a granny walker. Like, I'm sorry. I might look young and spry online, but I'll tell you, sitting here, I'll be in pain tomorrow, and I have to work tomorrow morning. So,
fair enough, Leon. Fair enough.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I would say, for me personally, it would be a Barrett 50 cal with a red dot. That's going to kill anything that's living on this planet, like giraffe, elephant, Sasquatch, moose. Barrett 50 cal, boom, done. You're done. So yeah, 10, 20 yards. So if a Sasquatch can survive that, there's something going on that you don't know about. So. Yeah. So yeah, guys, thanks for coming on. Thanks for being here tonight. Gary, fucking loved watching you hold the guitar in your hand and noodle around, do some Eddie Van Halen riffs. Like, that added a whole new dynamic.
You said it was impromptu, and I was long overdue. I hadn't played in a couple of days. So.
Well, you know what? We might do it. Let's do a music podcast.
Yeah, we've been thinking about a music show.
Yeah, and we'll do it on a closing time. with Pat.
Closing time.
Right.
Like the song.
So yeah, thanks guys, Patrick, Leon, man, it was very good discussion tonight. We almost got into a debate once or twice. I kind of like that. I think I'm going to start a debate series. So,
I have a music request.
okay,
All right.
go for it.
I want to hear How Much Were Your Wings by Black Crows.
Oh wow, jeez,
Good one.
man.
Who's the Black Crows?
Like you just busted. Like, yeah.
Did he just say what I
knew it,
think he
Patrick,
said?
and I knew it. I just
Did he just say what I think he said? Who's the
Who's
Black?
Kanye?
Yeah, like I mean, that's
Sinead
like-
O'Connor. Who's she?
he just pulled that one from right out here, like boom.
Love you, Gary.
Stuff like Albert King and BB King and Stevie Ray Vaughan.
I think it's like B E G, maybe B E F, maybe. I
I
don't
bet
know.
you can probably figure it out if I find it. Send me the name of the song, Patrick, and I bet you I can figure it out.
I actually shared it on my feed.
There's an echo, spooky ghost stuff, electronics, and Sasquatch.
Someone hacked me.
Mhm.
It might actually be my system. I got my guitar looped through the mixer.
I think so. I think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that song is on my news feed if you want to look on my news on my.
I'm trying to think who the Black Crows is.
The Black Crows.
I'm thinking. I'm thinking. Who did?
I'm not singing it.
Oh yeah, sing it. I'll back up.
I'm not singing it. You'll do backup?
I'll do back up when you start singing it.
Okay. How much for your wings?
A weem away. A weem away.
Oh, come on now. Where's my
Wee-
backup?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Pat tagged me in a jungle thing,
I seen it.
and I'm like, wow, really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you set yourself up for that though, Patrick. Because when I had to go outside to
was-
the dogs, and you were doing that song.
It
in the
was
background.
hilarious, dude.
I was so elevated at one point that and I go to music. Music is kind of my thing to help. And so I'm like I start singing a song in my head and then I start singing it out loud, calming myself down.
What was so funny is the way you did it, though. I mean, you're like sitting there and you're just kind of looking off into space, and then you
You're by
drink your
yourself.
bottle, and then you open it up, you take a drink, and then it's like just as calm as can be. It's like a weem away, a weem away, and then you tell me not to use it, and I'm like, oh hell,
We're gonna use it, dude. Yeah.
You gotta use that.
that
What-
was
Yeah, what made my wheels spin was like, why was that song in your head?
Yes.
Like, where did
Because-
you pick that up?
Because music soothes the savage beast. And we were talking about beasts. And so the natural one was,
20 years, bro.
the natural song went to my head was In the Jungle. So
Huh. Interesting.
the lion sleeps at night. So
Excuse me, sorry.
of all the things that I would probably be singing if I was sitting there by myself would probably be like something like Garth Brooks or something. You
I
come
know, right? Yeah,
freaking Lion King,
I know. Or you might get some like guilty pleasure weird song out of me. Everybody goes,
Yeah.
Why is Pat singing Adele? Like, like.
Well, there was a guy who was who came down from Mount Everest and was dying, and he kept hearing Boney M play in his brain. There's a brown girl in the ring, tra la 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 la. And he said, I hated Boney M. I couldn't stand that song, but it kept his brain active to go and keep moving through the snow because he was becoming hyperthermic and actually get back to the base camp so he didn't die on Everest. It was an amazing story. But he just harped on it. He says, I hate that song. I don't know why I would get it, but
It's crazy, dude.
yeah. But imagine
like,
Brian to Brown Girl in the Rain. Tra-la-la-la. There's a brown girl. Out of all the songs my brain needs during death, that's the one it comes up with. Like, really? How about some ABBA, maybe? I don't know.
Wow.
It's cheesy. I don't care. But
that is nuts.
Anyways.
All right. Yeah, I guess I'll shut it down. Like, we didn't even get to talk about Flat Earth tonight. Like, I'm just dying to talk about Flat Earth.
You know,
last week.
You know the weirdest thing about this whole night?
What?
Your hair.
We have
say anything.
You know, usually when we start winding down a show, the members start dropping off. It's like escalates when we get ready to shut it down. You know, it's like the numbers. That's the weirdest thing. I mean, it's like usually it's like, okay, we're gonna leave, guys, and they start dropping off. And like on our show earlier, it was like they was picking up. It was like, man, I can't shut it down.
I know. I'm gonna start my shows off like that tonight, like late, next time.
Singing.
Late
Just
nights,
start off singing.
Friday nights.
No, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start the show off going. All right, guys, welcome to Squatch Talk. We're about to shut it down. Viewership is up.
Yeah, but you could use Gary as like your sidekick musician band that's always to the right, like Stephen Colbert and or Late Night.
That's an idea, man.
He could be over in the back there.
For closing time, right?
Put on my sunglasses and be like sitting in, like what was it, Jay Leno, where he's always talking to him across the mic.
Yeah, totally. Jimmy Kimmel, all those guys up there.
Yeah, we can do that for closing time.
Shoot, yeah, man. Be like the bar room, player.
Okay.
I've got a crazy deal, man. The wife's birthday is Sunday, but we always go to a local restaurant here in town talking about music and bars, and called Monterey Jack's. And there's this older, he's in his 70s, but a Hispanic individual, a guy that plays guitar in there, and he plays a lot of older stuff like a Santana and Eric Clapton, even like stuff as far back as Eric Clapton with Cream. And I was talking to him one day, and he's helped me. He said he wants to set up my guitar and stuff and all this. But got to talking to him one day, and a friend of mine came in that's known him for like 10 years. The guy actually played rhythm guitar for Santana for 10 years in California. And this guy is in the middle of Oklahoma. I'm like, how do you go from being in Los Angeles, California, playing with one of the best, to playing in a little restaurant in Oklahoma? It's like the stories this guy, if you could get him to tell.
Oh, dude, I got stories. I mean, I've been on that roller coaster ride, bro. I've played in front of thousands of people. I couldn't attract an audience of 10 right now. So You're right. It's weird. We talked about that the other night, Pat. How when you're playing on stage, you got the spotlights in front of you, so there's kind of a disassociation there. You can put them out there. I can say I've played in front of a few thousand myself, but when like this, it's more intimate. It's more like you're actually facing people. I prefer that. But that's a different podcast, bro.
And in answer to Strange Lynn's question, I can actually play it, but I had to put it down for 16 years because I had a neck injury and lost the feeling in my hands, and I just picked the guitar back up like 3 weeks ago.
And you need a hat.
We all need hats, just like that. We can come on with them on and the dark glasses.
Hey,
I usually wear the straw hat too, like Pat's got. Mine.
I'm trying to look like a Bigfoot researcher.
Yeah. You look like someone selling coke on the street of, I don't know, Las Vegas. Does that help? You get sunglasses on in the middle of the night. What time is it there? It's like
he's a Hollywood
in the morning.
He's a Hollywood pimp.
Yeah. He's waiting for you to be right down there in the street lights in Las Vegas.
Pat's going to be my manager.
No, it's I'm just wearing the goofy swag tonight, man. No big deal.
I like it. I like the hat.
I like it too. I don't think it's goofy.
It's kind of got the Toby Keith trucker attitude.
Sort of, yeah. Yeah, this is exactly how I look when I'm riding a horse. Whenever that happens, not very often. But yeah,
When you're riding a horse, like you're writing a horse a letter. Dear horsey, I miss you so much. Is that kind of writing? Or?
riding.
I get confused. I'm very specific, you guys. Ray needs very precise information to process. I can't move forward. I'll be up all night wondering about that. You mean by writing? Like writing a letter?
Riding.
He was after some unbridled passion.
Oh, good
Yeah,
one. There is a good one. That was witty.
How much longer is this going to get? Like, people are watching this.
It's
right
your show, so
It's staying consistent, man. We got 10. We've had 10 and 11, 12 the whole time. You still got 10.
And somebody just had the fucking throw that.
Is that the Southern American, the Southeastern American variant of the North American kangaroo, the kangaroo?
Pat, you have to get a kangaroo emblem and stick it on a hat. Okay, right, dead center.
Yeah, I'm never gonna live that one down. Like, that's amazing that is what stuck to me.
Well, you can thank your musical wonder there because he kept it going and going, and now it's stuck on all of us.
Okay, I have a Sasquatch inquiry question.
Sure, go for it.
I got this 2 days ago. I was watching a documentary about human beings and why we have left-hand and right-hand human beings and where the origin of that showed up in the primal tree for primates.
Right.
Human beings are the only primates that have left hand or right hand. 10% of the population has left hand. And the reason why we have right hand is so that when we had leather and hides, we can put it in our teeth and pull it to our right. 90% of all the hand paintings you see that are on rock walls, they're all left hands, meaning they use the right hand to go with the pigment. So the question would be, I wonder if we can find out if there's anything out there that gives us any data on whether or not there's any that are left-handed or right-handed, because that would tell us some very important brain development. Yeah. So there's my interesting thought for that Sasquatch thing. No,
it is. Again, it goes back to observation. I mean, who gets to see a Sasquatch do anything with their freaking hands? Not many people.
Now, me and Patrick did have a conversation about this, and I did come across a trail where all the you could literally tell, and it wasn't the left-handed twist. If you wanted to say that evidence was a Sasquatch, the left-handed twist was twisted this direction, and the right-handed twist was twisting this direction. So it's like when he was coming through, he was twisting both directions, but when he went back out, it was coming back the other way. You can't.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you can't say that would be until we actually see one doing it, But we have seen evidence of different twist patterns on trail markers. Patrick, you remember that conversation we had?
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I don't know of any reports or anything. Now you got me curious.
Well, you'd have to go through a lot of the old stuff and look for that information directly. So
yeah,
it threw a rock. I noticed it throw with the right arm. It threw with the right arm. It picked up with the right arm. It grabbed that thing with right arm. Whatever the report was,
right?
Just for face value. You didn't try to analyze it, but just get
it. You're right.
Whether or not you got a left-handed one that shows up there. It was carrying it in its left hand for some reason.
I'm gonna follow that up with a question. What is the significance in left and right-handed?
Left-handed. I have to go back and I just got onto this idea, so I'm still.
Well, we can do that on my show because I'm curious too. Because the wife's left-handed, I'm right-handed, and we have to. And I've noticed that a lot of left-handed people, a lot of the times, that I've known, are more analytical.
Left-handed people are usually presidents of the United States.
Really? I heard that we've had more left-handed.
Really?
Yeah, check that out. So there's sorry, Patrick, I'll just try this a little bit.
Go ahead.
Okay. The idea about left-handedness is it's a part of the evolutionary process because it's non-predictable. So if you watch fighting, UFC or anything like that, you'll notice the left-hand paw is a tricky one because subconsciously we're always to the right, as most 90% of the population. So you're dealing with someone from the left. You have no predictable pattern in your brain to know what it's like to be hit by the left until you have your first fight with a lefty. And then that's the first time, but you've had a lifetime of righties. So you're so prone to being opened in that zone when you're dealing with a lefty. And so what that does is provide maybe some form of additional adaptation in their capacity for existing, because they're still here to this day. Right? This is like, we're talking over 200,000 years, and over 200,000 years, the lefties are still present today. So there must be some significance about that. And that's the interesting.
Let me throw something else at you. Why is it that you always carry?
Just ask me, please.
Carry heavy loads with your offhand.
What was that?
Why do we, as a species, 90% of the time carry a heavy load with our offhand? If you're right-handed, you carry the heavy load with your left hand. If you're left-handed, you carry the heavy load with your right hand.
Because you balance with your right and you control with your left. Or sorry, you balance with your left and you control with your right, in case the balance on your left is out of sorts.
Okay, so I'm an anomaly then, because I favor loads with my right hand. I'm right-handed, and I favor carrying a load with my right hand.
You are, because I carry with my left.
Well, you got to slow down a bit here too, because people are. I know, Patrick. I can see you there, man. You're almost having a screen here. It's not that you're not going to be invited in. So I'll try to say this, and then I'll move it over towards you. So you can't. it's not that specific. It depends on the personality. Depends on your life experiences and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. So if your right hand is usually also stronger over a lifetime, being prone to using your right hand, your bones and your muscles are stronger. When you have a heavier lift, you're going to grab your right hand. If both of them are equal, like Gary's might be equal, I'm not sure, but he might favor it too. Because did you always do that, or was it after when your incident?
I'll tell you when mine happened. After the military, I always keep my right hand open so I can grab my weapon.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well,
Patrick, you finally get the floor, my friend. Take it away for whatever you need.
All right. An observation, and also a picture of observation. Sasha uses her left hand to grasp a sapling and step down into a creek.
Interesting.
What does that say?
Well, wait a second. When she's grabbing it, she's going down an embankment. She's grabbing
the sapling with the left hand, and her left hand is sliding down and around as she's stepping into a creek.
So left hand again is about control. Right hand is about balance. So she's grabbing the left hand of the tree. Think of it yourself. Think of the times you've gone down a bank. You grab there's no tree on the right, say, so we have to stick to the left. So you grab a tree to your left for the.
Oh, no. There's a creek running. She could have went on either side of that creek. On the other side of that side.
Look, Patrick, I'm not there, man. I can't see the environment.
I know. I'm explaining so you could further analyze better.
Oh, okay.
There's a creek here, sapling. Now you have a choice, left side or right side of this sapling.
Where's she located from the creek? So are you her and the creek is in front of her? Is that what you're suggesting?
All right. This is the sapling. The creek is right in front.
Okay.
All right. It's my keyboard. She is grabbing this, and her hand is
from where you are moving forward this way. Right?
Moving forward, and she's slipping. Now there's creek on this side too, but she chose to cross on this side with her left hand on the sapling, sliding around and stepping down into the creek. Okay. Now also, a left-handed person is usually left foot dominant. A right-handed person usually is right foot dominant.
Not necessarily. I would still suggest to you that what that is about, you move to the left, she's prone to the left for balance.
Now, what does that say is what I'm asking.
Well, you didn't say that at the beginning. You got me on this other rabbit trail.
Well, I want you to know all of it.
Remember, I'm retarded.
I'm taking a whole situation and pushing it your way, and I'm saying, what do you think about it?
Yeah.
Well, because when I see that systematically in a system, any kind of biological system, the mechanics is left for grounding, right for balance, going across the creek. She could have went to the right side as you suggested, but why did she choose the left side? If she would have chose the right side, it would have been a thinking process. It would have been an automatic process to her because that's her habit that she has now in her system. Always go to the right side. She grabbed the left side, which tells me it's about keeping herself in control, and the right side's available to keep her in balance. The same way if I have a package and I want to keep it in balance, but the weight's up here. If my primary control hand is controlling a mass, I can't control the mass. That's why you have your primary hand. Your primary hand is to balance it, reshift it if you have to, and all that. And that's why it's kind of a layered thought process in it. But
so that suggests she's either right-handed or ambidextrous.
Well, it also suggests something else. It also suggests that she's pre-thinking and analyzing. Because an animal doesn't go and grab things. You know, a bear might go and grab a fish. A bear might use its paw for something. But when she's looking at, you don't see a bear grabbing a tree limb or something to balance itself as it goes down inside of something. And yeah, the mechanics are different. I get it. The motor skills are different. I get the physiological differences. But when you're looking at something that's upright, that's having to analyze things, and for her to automatically go to that, I'm not even saying this is factual. I'm just saying when I look at that pattern that you shared with me, that's what that pattern suggests is she's not just going down the bloody hill across the creek, which she could have done. She chose to get balance first. And then she went to control first, and then to balancing, then go down. That's very slow, systematic way of when you're looking at behavior in any kind of animal. I don't know another animal. I think, tell me one other animal that would do that. Maybe a gorilla would do that. A chimp would do that.
Yeah, gibbons
would do that. Gibbons would do that. Yeah,
gibbons are completely ambidextrous. They don't seem to favor anything
because they're always hanging on things too, and they're swinging around. They get the use of the environment to balance.
I was just hoping that'd lend something that we could glean some information on what right-handed or what-handed she was.
It will. I mean, like I said, I only thought
it's interesting
on this 2 days ago. That's why I thought I'd throw it out to you guys. It's only 2 days ago. I mean, that's what I like is you get to look at these curious kind of things. You let your body process it. You be curious about it. You check out stuff about it. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's something there that's neat. You know, I mean, the way I look at behavior is behavior tells us how they think. So if they can hold their breath underwater, I know they have the capacity for language. Because in order to hold your breath underwater, you have to think about holding my breath underwater, or you will drown. Because I have to get out of the water to breathe, right? That's not primal. That's not instinctual, because animals will do that before they drown. Of course, what I'm talking about is I'm going to go under the water, so these hunters who are shooting ducks out here by Kamloops can't see me. I'm going to swim towards them, and they come up where their decoys are. So that's thought. That's control. Which also means maybe, don't know yet. Hear a lot of people claim it. They might be able to have vocalizations in regards to some language formation or communication capacity. So that tells me they're above what a bear would be.
Now, also, not to stop you, but some more pertinent information. In an encounter where I got growled at, the big male that growled at me had his left hand on a sapling and 1 foot down in the creek and 1 foot on the bank with his head low, growling at me. Right. I don't know if that helps.
Well, yeah, it does, because that's anchoring again. I know what I know. Left hand on tree. And I'm looking down at, notice how my head's looking down? I didn't think about doing that before I did that. That's primal. That's body language. I'm literally looking down on you. In other words, I'm looking down at you, but I'm looking straight at you.
Mm-hmm. So that's what he was doing.
You know what I'm saying? So when you're looking at that, again, this is what bothers me. If I put a bullet in one, am I going to see conscious availability in it? That tells me it's consciously available to itself. That bothers me. I don't buy in. I have to kill things. Matter of fact, I can't kill things as readily as I used to be able to kill things when I was younger. Because
I understand that.
That's the majestic side of it. Now, I'm not saying they're majestic. I'm more interested in finding out whether or not they're consciously available. In other words, when I look at them, they look and they recognize me as something that's unique. Not like a black bear when it stared me to the back of my skull, stared me down. I don't know how Davy Crockett did that. Stared one of them down. I've had him stare me right down to the back of my skull, man. And I was a little childish little girl wanting to run away. So I get that zone. But if I'm looking at them, that's why, for me, the ideal encounter would be, I just need to see their eyes. That's the only thing. As soon as I see their eyes, it's going to tell me a shitload of information for a guy that's trained in what I'm trained in.
I wish you could have been in my shoes.
Well, part of it would be to explore both your guys' stories more.
Well, Gary reached for his gun, Leon.
No, I know.
He reached for his gun, and you're talking to three guys who have pointed guns at human beings. Okay, so
okay, man. I've been shot and stabbed. So don't talk to me about that. I got shot in the shin with a pellet gun when I was 13.
Yeah.
And I got stabbed right here. Right here when I was climbing up on an old patio and there was a nail sticking out that was rusty and it cut me inside of my chest. Don't talk to me about being tough and rugged.
No, we're not talking about being tough and rugged.
I'm sorry.
We're talking about we're talking about, like, you know, we've pointed the barrels of guns at human beings. So Sasquatch is like, it doesn't. We don't care what they look like, humans or not. If it's a threat, it's a threat.
It's not a threat, though. You don't know it's a threat. Most animals are not a threat. 90% of animals are not a threat unless we're doing stupid things around them.
And, I
agree. I agree with that.
Towards that.
So don't project onto these things or any animal as if they're a threat.
I mean, honestly, if this thing was aggressive, when I'd have reached for that gun, he would have defended himself.
You both would be deader than sticks right now.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Ripped apart, shredded. Your head would have been plucked off your neck.
Now here we go. Now I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. Just Patrick sending me the message about it reaching up and grabbing the door handle.
Yeah.
Well, I retracted that picture.
It doesn't matter. Both you guys are alive. That tells you that neither.
No. Speaking of which, you asshole, he posted a picture of a Sasquatch looking through the window.
I retracted it. I didn't know it bothered. It's just something I threw out there.
I can't remember what I said.
Just about what you said then.
No, nobody has a picture of a Sasquatch looking through a window. So
no, I do, but I won't post it.
Yeah, I seen one earlier today. I don't think it was yours, Patrick, though. I thought it was from
it was his.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was like right there, you know, and I didn't think about it. It was someone else's page. I saved it and shared it. It was a cool pic. And then I get him. I'm like, oh, crap, it bothered him. And I know how that feels because I just now started sleeping again. And so I'm like, I retracted it. I'm not going to keep him awake.
I'm done going to be awake now. Now I'm looking at the mirror, the window behind me.
I've been watching that mirror the whole time. I haven't seen a shadow.
I saw one.
Okay.
It's probably just your dad.
What was bad, the other night I was in here editing. Matter of fact, I was editing you two's shows, the Leon and Patrick. And my neighbors, we got some new guys that moved in over here that are in their 30s, two brothers and their mom. And they came up, and I'm sitting here doing like this, and I just happened to glance up, and they're both standing in the window like this.
Oh, really?
I literally had my 45 underneath my desk here. I've got it on a magnet, you know, and I almost spun around.
Dude.
And when I did, I seen them. I was like, holy crap. And then when I told them, they was like, ooh, we better not do that again. Because they're from that area. What's funny is these two, my neighbors, are from about 10 miles where I had my sighting. And you can't be from that area and not think of Bigfoot. You know, it's just comes with the territory.
Just do what I do.
A weem
and
away.
No.
A weem away. A weem away. A weem away. A weem away. Maybe
do what I do.
Can we get a 4-part harmony going here?
Oh, a weem away. A weem away.
I can make fart noises if that's assisting in any way.
Well, I really boiled it down to it was it was unavoidable. what happens with Gary and myself. With their population growing, we're out there in the bush. It really was unavoidable for that to happen. It had to happen to someone.
There's a factor in there too,
us.
though. And this is to me a very. I thought we was gonna shut this thing down, but here we go again. I think skill set is another factor in that. Knowing what terrains to go to, knowing the behaviors, or learning or gleaming the behaviors that they do, and putting yourself in the right position at the right time.
Yeah.
And they're like,
what you do is get 20 people. If you are pretty solid with what you're saying, Patrick, and that is that area that you're in, there's no reason we can't get them on film. Would you be interested in getting 20 people that are qualified? Half of those being.
I'm not sure. I'm going to tell you something. I kept my mouth shut earlier. I ain't doing it now. My only concern, knowing those animals in this area, I'm afraid that if you put 20 people that aggressively in those woods, one of two things is going to happen. They're going to fade away and be gone, or they're going to get aggressive and come at you.
Well, I don't think first of all, you do what you just suggested. I would never suggest that, of course.
Oh, okay.
But what I would suggest to do is make the camp far enough away where you would have to go in a very systematic way and very rare way.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you.
And in that rare way, meaning that you're in there and out of there like a lightning flash. And so by the time you're done that area, especially if it's a 30-acre area, that perimeter is already monitored. Then you wait.
Okay.
After you wait just for the first boundary parameter to see whether or not something's coming in there, that's roughly the height we're looking for. So anywhere between, we'll say 4.5 feet to higher. And that triggers the sensors, so we know exactly where they may be coming in, and we'll also know whether there's more than one of them, because every time one comes through it, it'll go beep, beep, beep. So we'll know what we're looking for. We're not trying to let them know we're looking at them. That's the key part. That's the wisdom part. How do you do it so they don't know that we're actually watching them?
I'll be right back.
Watch us, we can watch them. And that's the first thing you do. This idea about doing this quick, this will never be quick. That's the problem with the Bigfoot online scene, is everyone wants it to be so fast. That's why they start projecting.
They want to gobble it up now, right now.
And
that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and no species being discovered. I mean, even if you look at Jane Goodall, she did research right up till she kind of stopped doing the research because she physically couldn't do it. So it's not like it's not decades. It is decades. Once we find out how to find them, first of all, then it's going to be decades of understanding.
Well, Roger Patterson and Bill Gimlin found them. So that was 50 plus years ago,
Yeah. So what's your point there?
Is that that happened 50 plus years ago? That's
but people aren't the problem. You got to be fair about it, Pat. People online.
Well, I am.
Wait, slow down. I'm not being offensive or negative to you, buddy. Okay.
I am being fair, though.
Okay, no, I'm not saying you're not being fair. I just wanted to slow it down a little bit. Remember, when we all came online, what sucked about what we came online is after we were online for a while, we realized the narrative isn't even close to being helpful at all. Zero. And we follow
I agree with
that had high subscribers and all that. You've heard me harp on this lots. But it's not helpful for the people who are really trying to figure out this whole situation. And that documentary, I just did that snake oil documentary. The guy who did that, the producer of that, he was just absolutely burned by the Bigfoot community, which gave him the energy to come after not just the Bigfoot community, but the whole, ghost stuff, paranormal stuff, all that kind of stuff in this documentary. And he has a right to feel that way because it did happen to him. And I know it did happen to him because it also happened to me and it happened to a lot of people else that I know. So the idea about moving forward in all this idea or in this whole topic is, look, something has to leave tracks. That means something's there. The next part is what is there and how can we focus on finding tracks and being educated about tracks so that we can move forward in this. I don't know why people wouldn't want to look for tracks. That's like, I'm walking through the forest and there's all these cookies and they're placed out every 7 meters apart. And they take me to a beautiful place that has, it's all made of cookie stuff. This is great. I mean, that's what tracks are, if you know what you're looking for. And we have these other allies called dogs, and dogs are awesome. And dogs will teach us things and make us aware of the environment a lot quicker than we are trained to do that. And we can learn from those dogs. So I don't get this impression, the idea about when I see or look for a Sasquatch, it's not to be intrusive. The idea is to have the wisdom to do it so it's non-intrusive, so they don't know that we're doing it. Technology will make us be able to do that. I'm sorry if people don't understand what I mean when I'm trying to unfold that for them. But the bottom line is the technology that's coming up and that's on the horizon coming up is brilliant stuff. You don't have to be there. You don't have to be on site. You're not trying to.
I agree.
You're not trying to go in there and get the money shot. If you get it, great. It's more likely some bozo who's not even interested in Sasquatch, some goonball thong wearing guy in his basement, 700 pounds, that's the troll on all of our sites, is going to probably bounce into one accidentally and he'll be the hero of the day, right? And the rest of us will be
You're right about technology. Like that is absolutely a factor. And so that being said, to my own point, is that technology has advanced since Patterson Gimlin film, where I mean maybe those two guys just got lucky as hell doing what they were doing. I mean, they were out there for 2 weeks.
Well, I think they were lucky because first of all, they didn't have the activity in the forest that we have today.
Right.
And I mean,
there's a lot of
I'm over 50 here, and I know you just turned 49, I think. I'm not sure where you guys stand in this whole age thing. But back in those days, if human beings weren't in the forest like they are now, chronically for the last 67 when the film was taken. So you got like, say, 25 years there. Then you got another 22 years added on top of that, or 21 years for right now. And when you're looking at that amount of time that's happened, it's pretty, I mean, just look at how when you're a kid and you grew up and you go back in your hometown and it's like exploded, the size of it's exploded in regards to population.
Yeah, it was way different back then.
Yeah, and so back then, it's kind of like if I walk in a forest and a deer's never seen a Leon before or a human before, he's going to not look at me as a threat because he has no reference point in his brain to go to as being a threat. And so he'll look at me at curiosity, maybe a little suspiciousness, nervousness, not suspiciousness, but nervousness to him until he realizes there's no threat here. Now he'll just kind of hang around for a while, unless I do quick motion maybe and he'll pounce off. But in most cases, if any animal hasn't seen anybody as a human being as a threat, they don't view you as a threat because they have no reference point to go to for that. So when it goes into an area of Sasquatches, if I came across Sasquatches and knew they were in an area, the first thing I would do is try to, study them from a distance. And secondly, try to somehow make a contact, as if Patrick was talking. Go ahead, Patrick.
Well, I had an experiment that was set up to do, but never was done. And it's called knock game.
It's called what?
Knock game.
Knock game. Okay.
It's going into an area where they're within a mile and having two people 50 yards apart in kind of a cleared, semi-brush cleared forest and knocking on trees and hiding from each other and chasing each other in a circle, knocking, using just a single knock. One person do a knock, another person do a knock, and attract them to come in and see these guys are using our communications and they're playing a game. Okay, that's going to have curiosity to them. They're going to come in close, and in my area, little Sam, he'd probably join in.
Well, you can put yourself at risk on that one. Where my brain goes to is if you're making knocks and they think you're another, I would say, troop. And like in the chimpanzees or the other primates worlds, and they know that you're coming in, they might not view you as curiosity, they might view you as threat. I'm not saying that's the case there, by the way, Patrick. I just was watching
something to consider, maybe.
Yeah.
I've considered
that's a true thing.
I've considered all the what you're talking about, but in my area I know them.
Well, yeah, I don't know your area. So.
Okay.
So, but if you have an area that they're familiar with you, someone might be able to do that.
I'm sorry to say, but if I'm running in a circle hitting trees and one of these things comes running in carrying a stick, I'm running the opposite direction. Probably gonna have a brown spot in my pants and a trail of it behind me. He'll be able to track me real easy just by the smell.
Yeah, well, I think that's the key part. Even after you shit your pants, you're going to listen. You were in the service, man. I don't have to tell you about this. You shit your pants, you have to still stand your ground, or you could be dead.
You do.
Yeah,
You do.
100%, man. You shit your pants. Doesn't matter. You shit or pissed your pants. Sorry for
Well,
the viewers at
the
home.
scenario I had set up was a 360 camera. Okay. And then one person sitting next to the 360 camera, which would have been Christy Sci-Fi. And she's clapping and smiling and like she's having fun. And the other person in the team and myself would have these small tomahawk handles. And we would whack the trees and chase each other a little bit, and make a game out of it. And, of course, little Sam was smaller then. He was certainly curious. This is before he was shot. He'd have came in, I believe. But the person was never comfortable enough to do that scenario, so that it was never done.
Well, there's another angle I would take. I think your angle is an interesting one that I would probably reflect on myself. So don't take this as a negative. But the other one I thought about this a few years ago was, how they come and they push you out of an area. I thought by doing the same thing, if it was manageable terrain, to do it. So in other words, you had them not in a box, but you had them in a way where they would have to retreat a certain way. And the idea would be you actually go through the forest with a group of people, and you banging sticks like you're trying to get rid of a tiger or a lion out of the forest kind of thing, but you're just moving through the forest all the same direction. So they would take their exit that they would have to do. So you'd have to go Google Pro Earth and see the area you're in and see what exits they might take. And it's those exits that you would set up all your sensors on, so that when they go through it, because they're going to be more worried about us coming this direction, by the time they hit the sensors, they're still not going to be thinking about the sensors. They're going to be thinking about us moving forward. And again, it's non-intrusive, but actually you could have a couple of layers of it again, so you can see which way their direction. I mean, the more layers you're going to have of those sensors, and they use them all the time in. They've been around for a long, long time. I had it earlier there. I can't remember right now. It'll come back to me. But the more sensors you can have, you can take a coordinate, a compass bearing on. They headed this direction. Now, what would make them head that direction? Look at the terrain again on Google's map, Pro Map, and then see what's over there that might be interesting. And then you do that a few times, but you don't do it a lot. It's like when I go into an area and I put cams up, I'll usually bait a stump with something like tuna juice and stuff like that. Not for Sasquatch, but to see what's in the area. Cougar, grizzly, black bear, just so I know I'm not walking into in case I'm walking into a not a good area, I guess. And the more you could do that, and again, this is why that patience, much grace, much gentleness. You got to wait chunks of time so you can do it on a regular seasonal basis, but also when on a regular seasonal basis. So you're not exposing your sense too much in the environment. The same way somebody said to me that, geez, Leon, you were on like 4 different channels last week. And I said, yeah, I'm saturating the online thing. I don't want to do that. I don't want to saturate on here. I got shit I have to go do, But I think that would be interesting, and especially in an area like yours, because I mean, if you're having these experiences where they're this familiar to you, and you're not a threat to them. In other words, they know you, or they know of you. They know there's no threat of you. They know that you're in the environment sometime. Squirrels are in the environment sometime. Birds are in the environment sometime. Patrick's in the environment. So that's what you want. That's camouflage, by the way. Mm-hmm. That's what you're trying to do, is camouflage yourself so you're part of the environment. You might look human, but even if you're wearing those colors you're wearing today, your navy blue with your funky little hat on there.
Hey, this is my Falcon hat.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to get off of here. We'll talk to y'all later. I got to be up in the morning.
All right. Yeah, we should actually quit here too. So,
we'll talk to y'all later.
So addicting.
It's been interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's been It's been a really interesting conversation. Appreciate you, Patrick.
No problem. If there's a lot of background on me that is on video, and it's on Bigfoot Explorer, and
yeah. Well, you sent me their link there, so I did scope through that. I think it gave you a thumbs up. Thank you for sending me that. So
yeah. So there's the study I did for 16 years with the information of that, and then there's what we did on video. So there's just a lot to it, but
I'll go through every bit of it.
Yeah. There's always a lot to it. There's always a lot to it with this phenomenon. I mean, it's interesting thing.
Well, I went and took hypothesis, developed theories, took theories out, and I either succeeded or failed with them. And then, and I debunked everything I could. And then when I put out, I said, okay, this is what I observed from doing, and this is the area they hang in. This is what happened, and some of it is expeditions I went on just with my tracking partner, and then when Bigfoot Explorer got in on it, oh, we want to do them too. We don't believe that you can do what you do. That was the angle.
Right.
And the first time I'm showing him trackways I got him knocked at, roared at, got him whooped at our camp, and he says there's no way it happened.
Could you send me some of that, Patrick? Would you feel okay about doing that?
That is North America. That is a North Louisiana expedition on Bigfoot Explorer.
Oh, so that's all on their okay. No, I thought that you were saying they were saying no, there's no way that could do that, but they weren't saying that. And other people.
Well, on the show, you'll hear, Mr. Owen say, yeah, but we can't confirm this is what it was, even though we got knocked at and whooped at right here. We can't confirm that something. I think what he said was, well, Patrick seems to think this is what happened. Okay, you can hear this didn't happen in it. And then in the Central Louisiana, after being yelled at and tracking, he actually, at the end of the show, he goes, well, we don't know what we're doing, so we don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
and we casted.
Remember what the names of those videos were? Because I know Larry was asking that too. So
that was, we did a North Louisiana expedition. We did a Mississippi expedition. We did a Central Louisiana expedition, and we did a Southern Arkansas expedition.
Okay.
And we literally casted tracks on that episode, and he says, we don't know nothing. We don't know it. We don't know what we're doing. But and that was his perception. That's fine. I understand disbelief because it took me 3 encounters looking at him, and I still didn't believe me. You know what I mean? I was there.
Yeah, but there's a difference between saying we don't know anything or what we're doing. If he said we don't know what we're doing, then what the hell are you doing out? Not you, but what the hell is he doing out there?
Right.
The idea about coming out and saying, well, this happened to us and this, we don't know what this all is, that's different, total terminology. Yeah. But to sit there and say to somebody, especially people who will be watching the video, is, well, we don't know what the hell we're doing. It's like, well, then why are we watching you?
Well, remember, I used to track for them.
Right. So do you have photos of the tracks, though? Because I would love to take a look at some of these photos you got of them.
On my Patrick Vaughn, I have a tracking file on Patrick Vaughn on photos, awesome. And I'm tracking and I snap pictures, and it's not every track. There's probably 10% of the tracks I found are there because the rest of them is just a toe impression. The balls of the foot and the toes going up a hill, and people can't see that. They want to see the damn track,
Right, yeah.
Yeah, hill shots are hard to. My best track was on a hillside. It was sweet, but I could not transpose it onto the camera because people kept seeing it as flat like this, right? Mm-hmm. But what you couldn't see was the toe track, the toe holes that went in to the embankment. And you could put your fingers in it, you can feel them. Like that was wow.
I found one that had knuckles. You could see the 4 knuckles and the thumb. as it was coming up an embankment, it put his fingers down and a thumb and came up the embankment. That was in southern Arkansas. But yeah, all that's on Patrick Vaughn. There's a tracking album, and then there's a other signs album where there's the one that came in that circled around. I actually drew a weapon that night, and he went around, broke a stick, and went out behind a tree and was peeking around behind the tree. There's a thermal of that, and then of course the two digging sticks beside it is in the other signs. But just as I track and as I find stuff, I drop it in that like a photo bucket. But
all right. Well,
I think
we're gonna wrap it up.
It's probably good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least the live portion, man. If you guys can stick around for just 1 minute at least afterwards, that'd be great. But thanks for watching, everybody. Good audience tonight. Cross-platform, that was good. And hey, we'll do it again soon, man. We got a lot of things coming down the pipe. I'm gonna put some special stuff together.
Yeah,
So
thumbs up to this video.
Yeah. Like and subscribe. Smash that like button. Oh wait,
like it, eh?
Yeah.
Smash that like button.
The thumbs up one is ring the bell. That's what you want to do. Ring the bell is what you want to do. Ring that
the
notifications.
Bell. Yeah, but let's get the algorithms going so that whatever. There's more people watching. I'm not monetized, guys. I'm not. So, I just want more people to be engaged with these kinds of discussions. I mean, you heard everything we talked about here tonight. Like, we were all over the place and with, all kinds of stuff and a little bit of debate, disagreement, back and forth. That's fine. That's
good.
Good discussion here. Like, that's what it's all about. And we're all friends. So it's all good. And thanks for watching. It is getting late here.
It is. It must be like 2:00 your time.
No, it's almost 3:00 in the morning.
Holy smokes!
Which is fine. But yeah,
my time.
Like,
thank God I'm off tomorrow.
I work tomorrow morning.
Me too, but it's only approaching midnight, I guess.
Oh.
Right? Your time?
Here, my time.
Yeah.
I don't have to work till 12, so that's a bit of a bonus. I can sleep in a little bit.
All right, so we're just gonna wrap it up and close it out. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate every single one of you guys being here. And thanks for watching, Larry. Very active in chat. I see that, and I appreciate that. I want people to engage from chat into the show because you guys are a part of it, and that's what it's all about. So we'll wrap it up, and we'll do it again next week, I'm sure. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night.